Level 2's physical layout, whilst complicated, has certain commonalities in its design which allows it to be mapped and understood. The tunnels themselves, despite following no strict flow on how they are structured, all contort at strictly 45-degree angles, and the rough length of hallways is always measured to approximate multiples of 5 when measuring in the metric system, only when rounded up to the nearest whole number, with occasional errors from the lack of equipment in the early days of experimenting with level 2. The various tunnels also are usually rather tight and narrow, either because of the original dimensions of the tunnels which sometimes barely fit those of larger builds from shoulder to shoulder, or by the machinery, wiring, or other industrial equipment strung up along the walls and ceilings. The walls are built of withered, dirtied concrete, or even bricks in certain areas, the latter of which are usually in muddy brown or black hues. The texture of all wall surfaces are somewhat chalky, regardless of the material of the wall itself, and usually leaves powdery residue on one's fingers if touched or rubbed across. In extremely tight corridors, this even leaves marks and stains on clothing, or occasional bruises on skin. In a majority of hallways, however, the chalky and tattered walls are often obstructed by imposing, rarely operational machinery that usually covers one or both walls from floor to ceiling. These pipes and machines, whilst being identified as various actual types of machines from former engineers in the developed eras of the M.4A, instead, each of these industrial appliances are placed in arbitrary locations across level 2, and do little more than connect to one another with piping and working electricity. In the modern era, these machines usually create little more than quiet internal whirring noises, as if the machines are faulty. Additionally, each machine is usually connected by long, thick pipes that transfer fluids, electricity, gases, or even solid objects on sparse occasions. Whilst piping and odd machinery are an ever-abundant sight, similarly industrial handheld equipment scatters various halls. Flatbed trolleys are one such common appearance, which usually possess items such as miscellaneous machine parts, oil drum barrels, and metal, cardboard, and wooden boxes oftentimes chocked full of livable materials. In addition, scraps of paper, old tools, and shattered glass from old light bulbs also cover the level's floor in random areas, usually without much rhyme or reason. Level 2 is lit predominantly by buzzing fluorescent lights, similar to that found on various levels between 0 and 4. These lights, whilst sparser than in the likes of level 0, still coat a predominant portion of the level in industrial white or orange hues. The wiring for these lights is more often than not exposed, which has led to various groups harvesting the level's copper, and occasionally even the fixtures themselves. In addition, the lighting in level 2 is not even distributed, oftentimes leaving some areas in darkness. However, they are still usually insulated via plastic or rubber. Due to the exposed nature of the wiring, and due to the fact areas of level 2 seem to be wired in series circuits instead of parallel ones, it is extremely easy for the wiring inside lighting to be disrupted. This can happen for a myriad of reasons, ranging from accidental, purposeful espionage, and even entity interference. Regardless of intent, however, if one light or wire is damaged for any of these reasons, all lights within a set space will immediately deactivate, plunging the local area of level 2 into darkness, meaning that each light lit on the same wire, instead of each one being powered on a different wire. The affected areas after the destruction of a set of lights is virtually arbitrary, as there are no easily identifiable signifiers to determine what sections of level 2 are wired up to which areas of circuitry, and testing to figure out such things would be a fruitless affair. However, from what few times this has intentionally been done, anywhere between a rough 3x3 to 6x6 grid of lights will deactivate. Breaking any light does not deactivate the area around oneself, it simply deactivates the series circuit the light is attached to. Whilst narrow corridors, thick machinery, and various industrial props take up a majority of level 2's landscape, the walls not coated with wires and pipes instead contain doors ranging in various colors, materials, sizes, and types. The default designs for these doors are usually of a steel construction that swivels inwards to whatever lays on the other side of the room, as well as usually being painted in various shades of white, grey and cream, which is detailed further on in this text. More often than not, these doors also contain various amounts of additional decoration on top of them, usually in the form of patterns like embossed or debossed squares, locks, signs, spray-painted symbols, windows, or even damage to their main structure. It is unknown how many of these are generated by the level itself, or if some of these are created via humans or other sentient entities. Usually, these signs will denote warnings about machinery or piping, do not enter warnings, flood warnings, or general industrial jargon. Though what is written on these signs seldom correlates to what is on the other end. For a large majority of specifically locked doors, and for the even fewer amount that have windows built into them, the views into the other ends of these doors will be that of an entirely black void. In most cases, this form of room is inaccessible due to the doorway to enter it being in a permanently locked state. However, especially in more recent years during the heavy industrialization of Level 2, certain doors that previously unlocked into voids have unlocked. The area inside these voids is an infinitely wide, infinitely long space that disregards the exterior dimensions of the hallways themselves. These spaces are devoid of sound and light, meaning that the only source of illumination comes from the doorway itself, which sits in the middle of this void as the only way to return. It is extremely easy to get lost and perish in these infinite, lightless voids, and entering them is not recommended. With the exception of the Lost, who previously resided in Level 2 countless centuries ago, the Macchina are one of the earliest catalogued settlers of Level 2. Initially starting as a simple, animalistic entity race as late as 1000 BC, the Macchinas progressively evolved to develop sentience and to move beyond their simple instincts. From this, the Macchina began to spread to, and inhabit, various levels across the Backrooms. Their occupations of levels predated that of the Lost, if their primary data is to be believed, and most importantly to this article, their main home was on Level 2. Level 2 was, in many ways, a perfect home base for the Macchina, to aid in surviving the harsh conditions of the Backrooms, as well as to boost their own thinking capacity. The Macchina began to build cybernetic enhancements in the form of somewhat of a bulky armor that was pivotal to certain elements of their culture. To create these suits, which are detailed in far greater detail in their main article, they stripped large portions of Level 2's machinery and heavily repurposed them for their own needs. Although the Macchina would have most certainly had one at some point, a definitive location for a capital city of some variety has never truly been pinpointed. A significantly large, abandoned city near the exit to Level 811 has been discovered in recent years which could have once been the main city for the Macchina. Though without any primary sources on the subject discovered, it is ultimately impossible to know. Infamously, Level 2 is most easily accessible from Level 1 via traversing down any corridors that appear to go on for longer than most corridors do in the level. Many individuals have also clipped into Level 2 directly from the front rooms, which is supported by groups such as the Survivors, and allows them to continue their main ethos and work even after the blackout. These exits, whilst not necessarily common Level 1, are common enough that they are one of the main ways individuals access Level 2, especially those fresh inside of the Backrooms from Level 0. Doors in the sub-Level 2.2 will send you here. Rarely, crawling to the vents of Level 8 will send you here, but this is not advisable. Enter a building in Level 11 will send you here. Touching or no clipping with a majority of objects or walls in VP3 will send you here. Climb a furnace in Level 127 will bring you here. If you find a flight of stairs, going it to be sent here. Entering the subway tunnel in Level 158 and Aries Station after the train has departed will send to Level 59 while entering prior to the train's arrival. Going to the train will be sent here. Waterfalls in Level 173 will send you here. Traveling over 3 miles in Level 309 will walk you here. Corridors which the stores are connected in Level 480 sometimes send you here. Entering too deep into any wiring on this level can result falling and sending you here. As one of its only entrances exists in Level 2, individuals must use a pink door embedded in a tree in Level 997. The most well-known, easiest to find, and most commonly used exits from Level 2 come in the form of exits to Level 1, Level 3, and oftentimes even Level 4. all of which take the form of unlocked doors. These exits, especially in recent years, are especially easy to spot, as wanderers of years past often leave signs or engravings in the walls of anomalous doors that lead to these above levels. Whilst not accounting for all of level 2's exits, a vast majority of ways to leave level 2 come from various anomalous doors that can be spotted semi-frequently. For the sake of categorization, the exits section has split into multiple parts. Accessing through plywood doors in level 2 will lead to level 31, level 127 and or level 137. Finding a metal bolt door in level 2 will lead back to level 141. Blue doors in level 2 will lead to level 175. Some of the piping on level 2 will occasionally contain circuit-like lights that faintly pulsate with light, akin to those seen on the many relics spread throughout. This will exit you here. Pink doors in level 2 will lead to level 997. As more commonalities to level 2, elevator-like doors will lead to level 998. Following the same entrance scheme as is suggested to do on level 1, one can access the hub from level 2, that being to follow a trail of corridors that aligns with the Kuranami code. Whilst traversing level 2, it has been documented that individuals may suddenly find themselves seamlessly transitioning into either of the two above levels in level 606 or level 38. Make-believe is thought to happen far less frequently. However, this may only be due to the fact that no one who has been to make-believe has survived, meaning there is much less information to go off of. Finding a large decorated room in level 2 will lead you to level 64. For reasons unknown, any areas of level 2 that become unreasonably hot become hotspots for no clipping into level 127. Much like the exit to level 811, this particular exit ceased to function during the blackout. By traversing the halls for long enough, or by finding small dugout passageways at perpendicular angles to the rest of level 2's layout, individuals will find themselves in level 158 and level 902 respectively. By wishing to use the restroom on this level, as well as others, one can spontaneously arrive on level 189 after interacting with a door after they have made the wish. Wishing to use the restroom on other levels, for reasons unknown, has a lower rate of entering this level.